Peas and carrots, peas and carrots. Check.
Speaking of peas and carrots, what's the menu at the Hotel Congress Cup Cafe these days?
I don't know.
And why don't you know?
I don't know because I haven't been there in 3 weeks.
All right. If you're just joining us here, we are interviewing Mr. David Slutes, the David Slutes, who I would do his intro, but then the show would be over, so we'll just kind of talk through everything. If he gives me the eye roll, because he doesn't, I think he's probably too humble to talk about all the things that he's done. But let's start with the most recent venture. I guess most people probably know, but if they don't, you've been at Hotel Congress for a while, but you just decided, I'm done with the peas and carrots.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been there for 27 years. I've had most of the roles you could have at a place, and it's been, part of my life. In fact, on my going away party, I nearly got a HoCo tattoo done with my bar manager, just because I said, that's over half my life. I mean, it's about half my life, so, in that place. So I love it dearly. However, an opportunity came along that said this could be my great third act, and so I'm going to pursue that. Well,
and this is the teaser, because this third act is not yet publicly known, so we can't ask you about this. Your publicist called me and said, do not ask him about this third act.
There's a cease and desist and NDAs left and right. So
we will we'll just keep this as a teaser, but we will share the news as soon as we hear it. But this is an end of an era, 27 years. When you announced this on Facebook, there was an outpouring of emotion, mostly
positive.
Well, I was going to say mostly like good for you, but bad for us. I mean, you've impacted so many people in those 27 years. Has anyone else been at Hotel Congress other than like the Oseruns? And I mean, has anybody been there that long?
Thomas Tiger Ziegler.
Okay.
1959.
Tiger's Tap Room.
We just celebrated his birthday 2 days before I left, and so he and I are basically retiring Congress about the same time. So, so he wins.
Tiger's retiring as well?
He's retiring as well, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of changes
big
at Hotel
news.
Congress.
I'm just full of good news, big news for you.
Well, I think you're full of news of people that have done wonderful things for this community and have been recognized for that. But let's take a journey, if you would, with me. 27 years ago, downtown was not what it looks like right now. I mean, there was a lot of boarded up windows and in danger.
No, in fact, it's just a testament to everybody, people like you, the Oserans, everyone, that we're sitting here on Congress Street in this beautiful retail storefront looking out on Congress Street, and it's terrific. It certainly wasn't that way a quarter of a century ago. There was the Rialto, there was Hotel Congress. I remember a used clothing store that I liked a lot because they had stuff my size, but that was about it. It lasted little pop-up weird things, but it was a dicey area.
And you said, "Hey, I'm going to start my career down here. Let's do this."
Well, I'd already started my career down here. If you think about it, if you go back all the way, I started working there in '96 with opening up a cyber cafe because my predecessor Dan Vinnick had this idea of opening up this internet thing, and he had a connection with this giant provider who could give us fast internet, which is still faster than you get today, big pipeline. So we had an internet cafe in the very corner where the stage is now, and I ran that for 3 or 4 years. I was a working musician. I was bored. I was looking for something else to do, and I did that for 4 years. That was the first 4 years of my career until I segued into what naturally made sense for me to do, is get into the programming of the nightclub and other places.
But that was your first role, was the internet cafe?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So is that still operating somewhere?
As I recall, I had to leave on a big European tour on that in that winter of 2000, and it shut down right after.
That's what happens. You stars, you go on your European tours, and then we just can't keep it together without you. So, but even at that time, an internet cafe in downtown Tucson.
It was a little quixotic idea, a plan, but it kind of worked with this little artist hub of what Hotel Congress was. And I was going to finish by saying, starting my career there, well, my career, in many ways, between this and Nino's, started at Hotel Congress. The first band ever to play, Al Perry will tell you was Al Perry and the Cattle, the first show ever. And he proudly said that for a long time, until I reminded him that he forgot who little punk teenage kids opened up for him. That was my band.
Oh, you opened for Al Perry, so you were the first.
Literally the first band ever to play at Hotel Congress.
Those openers.
I know.
Those openers.
I mean, just the punk teenagers. And it's like, but that history from 1985 all the way to now, you know, it's like.
Was this the Sidewinders?
No, this is a band called the Vegas Kids.
Okay.
We were 16 years old and just goofy.
Yeah. Well, what got you into music in the beginning? 16.
I just love music.
From birth on, you don't remember?
I mean, no, I just listened to music. I was in KIKX and AM radio fan in the late 70s, and just loved music. And then punk rock came along and allowed a lot of us who weren't very good at music to become musicians, and that was my segue in. And I got better, but punk rock was so wonderful in many ways, and that's one of it. It was the first great equalizer. So, go ahead. Join a band.
Okay. And so the 16-year-old gets a little bit older, and what are some of you've been in a couple of different iterations or different bands where
sure.
Where
and then I my band that I still have to this day is a band called the Sidewinders, and we started around then and got a record deal from RCA, and we were able to
Yeah,
we had two albums on RCA, one on Polygram. We had MTV videos. We had the whole thing. We had all the look and feel of a real band, and I got to do tour with all these wonderful people. And to this day, we still do it. And I still get small royalty checks. Very small.
Wait a minute. So you were on MTV as well.
Yeah.
Man, you are the first MTV star we have had on Life Along the Streetcar. Just so you know that.
I think star is a little.
No, we're going to star, and that's another first for you. You can put that. I opened a Hotel Congress. I was the first MTV star to be on Life Along the Streetcar. I think that pretty much completes the cycle. Is that
what else do you need?
What else do you need? Exactly. So you get into music. Your band is. I mean, you've got an RCA contract. Mm-hmm. You're touring. Mm-hmm. Where does the Internet Cafe fit in? Is this
so? I'm doing this, but still living in Tucson. We get to tour around. That band first broke up in about '94.
First broke up.
Yeah, we broke up 3 times, and now we just stopped breaking up and we just persist.
Every tour you do is the reunion tour.
We loved playing. We did. I mean, it was so much fun, and we got to write so many great songs, and I just loved it. But there was a period where I was just working on local acts here, and obviously very familiar with Congress. We played there all the time. We had RCA did their record release parties here. I loved the place. It had this downtown edgy vibe, and it reminded me a lot of urban centers around the country that had the art scene there. The LGBTQ scene was comfortable there. All the great artful stuff Congress was kind of doing, and I've always gravitated toward it. So when Dan Vinnick, who was kind of quasi-booking the place, had this idea of putting a cyber cafe together, he knew that I was a tech nerd, and said, "Hey, Dave, you want to run it?" I go, "Sure." And so I did that and ended up doing it for 4 years. Well, and then slipping off and doing tours and whatnot in the interim, but that was it. That's ultimately how it ended, too. I had a tour and we were all gone, but...
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You MTV stars, you're like, gotta go. Europe is calling. Got to sell that merch. So then the Internet Cafe, you come back from Europe, the Internet Cafe, you're so sad to see it's gone, but you don't leave Hotel Congress.
No, I sort of on hold because Shane had asked me to. I was also a wine guy. I mean, wine, women, and song was my motto in the 90s, all the way through. And
sounds like the proper shop's motto, sip, shop, and mingle. We're pretty close to that.
Yeah, so it was song, the women thing I never figured out, but the wine part, she knew I was a fan, so she asked me to come pick out the wine list when I got back from tour. I never did, and ended up just staying for the next 25 years. So
she's still at your retirement party. She's like, "Are you going to get me the wine list? Are you going to give me this wine list at some point?"
But it was great, and it was probably and getting into a place, and I had my philosophy of how to run a place like this and make it owned by all the community, and I think there were some things I really thought we could really do with it. But I went into what I thought was the best place in town in the first place, and I hope I kept the level of quality up, and we expanded quite a bit in that time too. So
I was going to say you've been there from the not the earliest days, but very early on, and now Hotel Congress. And if you haven't been in there in a while, it's always been amazing since I've been downtown, but now it's incredible with the Century Room.
Yeah,
I mean, you've got 3 full stages in there now.
Yeah, I mean, when we started, we had one stage that could fit maybe 150 people, although we always got more. And then we expanded that stage. Then I realized, I think we need more space. So I, little by little, knocked out the parking lot.
Yeah, when I moved downtown, there was a parking lot there, really poorly designed and
horrible,
incredibly frustrating parking lot.
It was a bad parking lot, and I said, "There's much better use." And myself and my assistant Matt Becquet, who is just the greatest guy in the world.
Oh, Matt, we've had Matt on the show. Ranch House, right?
Yeah, right. He's my adopted son. I love this guy. And he and I would pull out a stage every weekend and try to get shows out. And I said, you know what? Why not a permanent stage? And why not see if we can find that sweet spot between a size venue downtown that isn't a club, but it's at Rialto. Mm-hmm. And we tried to get that there. And in many respects, we nailed it.
Yeah.
It's an outdoor venue. We have a hotel and restaurant. You can't do everything. But I think in many ways it's become a great community space and just embraced by everybody. And I'm very proud of that. And then, post-COVID, here we go. And Arthur Vince, we get Arthur Vince to do the Century Room, mm-hmm. which has been just the most remarkable success as well. I mean, think about all the people who go to jazz shows, the demographic that goes to jazz shows, typically older, typically the people who complain about parking, complain about the people on the streets, the people out there, and they show up every night because it's such a quality venue with such great programming, and I couldn't be more tickled.
Yeah, and I was there soon after the Century Room opened, and it was a Friday night, and I was on the back patio, and Butcher and the Barnaby and the Butcher were playing in the back. You had something fairly hardcore in the club, and you had jazz in the Century Room, and I bought tickets to all 3. and I just wanted to see, and I went into each venue, completely different vibe, and completely isolated. You did not feel mm-hmm. like you were competing with anything in any of those venues. It was really quite amazing. And I'm this is incredible.
Well, and if you think about it, I mean, we're sitting right across the street from Hotel Congress right now. And it takes up a small block, but it's not that big. Mm-hmm. And we've somehow figured out how to do those 3 venues. And I mean, if anything, I was good at quantity of programming. And it's always been a dream of mine. I mean, we ended up last year, we looked at my ticket sales and said, we did 1,251 ticketed shows last year.
Last year?
1,251.
Last year. There's only 365 days in the year.
Correct.
Okay.
Do the math. And that's, I mean, those are ticketed events, not the free things and the other things. And so you need all that space. And Arthur Vint coming in and doing his remarkable job, and the people we've had working there, and the people who, I think like the Patrick Cardenas and the Megans, all these people who have been on the staff and know how to pivot and move. And there's a special quality to people who work there. They know I hope you like to work, and I hope you like the fun action, and I hope you like chaos, because I've got it for you. So, and that's Congress. How
has your staff been? Has it been? I know Patrick's been there for quite a while. Mm-hmm. And have you seen? You've mentioned a few names, people that have kind of been sort of those backbone of that time frame?
Well, I'll be quite honest, and I think it's really the COVID thing, like anything. It's a BC and AC. We lost a lot of great people. There's always the consistency of the Oserans and their family.
From an employment standpoint, not
just the people that are there. We have, thank God, we have Patrick. Of course, we have Barb Trujillo, who has been a stalwart. She will probably I think now takes seniority there. She's been there. She says she got there in 96th year. I think she got there a little later, but it's a debate we'll have.
It's kind of the whole Al Perry thing. Yeah. She was pretty close, but you beat her just a little bit.
But I mean, she's still there, which is great. And some of those consistent characters, and in a few of the employees, and then a lot of these employees who've left and then come back and left and come back. The gravity of Congress is pretty intense. This place is crazy. And then they can go away someplace, get bored, and come back. Because this place is crazy. Love it. And we've had some of those figures, but it's, through it all, it's the Osirans who've been myself and the Osirans have been the anchors of the thing, the things you could always count on, rely on there. So,
well, and when I first moved downtown, I lived at 1 North 5th, and my patio was overlooked the Hotel Congress. So
my apologies.
And it was fun. I enjoyed it. The only thing I didn't like was the karaoke night, because very late. Yeah.
Sunday night,
challenging vocals is a little tough. I got used to everything else, and but I literally oversaw the transition of the parking lot and those types of things, and then something. I think it's been happening, but with that conversion, something really intensified, which was this idea of a festival and event space, and all of a sudden now we've got multiple different events. We're celebrating corn. We're celebrating agave. We're doing these things that take out take that as now the stage and the courtyard become the center of a much larger festival that takes up Fifth and Tool and was that something
that was among my. If I had written a mission statement, it would be inclusive. Everyone owns this thing. Be event focused the whole way through. It was always, I said, this is, people don't, back then, really, they didn't come back downtown. You had to make a reason for it. I said, let's give them a lot of reasons to come down. Let's start saying that what's going on there, and events. And that was, and to this day, I still think it's a great model. When you have competition, you can have all the competition in the world with all the money in the world, but they can't out-create you if you're creative. You can always create, and they can steal ideas, they can do whatever. But it's like a cut rose. Once that rose is out there, go ahead, take it. You got to grow another one. And that was, I think we were pretty good at doing.
Yeah, you had a nice floral shop going over there, and you still do. You still do. Are you okay on time? I didn't intend to. There's so much I want to cover, and I think this is just going to end up being like a 2-part episode, if that's okay, because you're so dang popular. I can't keep up because you touched on give people a reason to come downtown. Something else that I don't think a lot of people maybe knew that you were heavily involved with was Second Saturday.
Correct. I was founding board member of that. And that's in a big transition now too. So we're looking. I don't know where we're at, but we started that, and it was hugely successful, and we were really proud of that. Fletcher, Huna, Brandy, Don Durbin, of course. Yeah. That was a big. I could go on a side tangent about Don Durbin and how important he was to downtown, and I still want to call him up and gossip and get ideas.
Yeah, we lost Don. I'd interviewed him a couple of times regarding mostly like parking and things of that nature, and it wasn't until he passed, and I knew he was heavily involved in downtown, but it wasn't until he passed that I really kind of dove into a show about him, and I was like, oh my goodness gracious, this man. He lived and breathed with intentionality, went out to make the downtown better. He just wasn't here for a ride. He went out and
he didn't have the title. He always found roles downtown, and he was one of the greatest connectors, a great resource because he knew everybody and knew everything. And he could have had the downtown mayor title. He was just, or controller, some other, that functionary that does everything, He was amazing, and I miss him dearly. he's going to be missed. He is missed.
Yeah, absolutely. You could see, that's a whole different topic, but you can see his presence is certainly missed in ways that you didn't realize that he was influential. And I think that's what's going to happen with you. And I don't know if you can share it all about your role. Are you leaving downtown? Are you?
I am leaving downtown.
Okay.
Staying in Tucson. Well, I'm starting a new project that I think is going to delight. We'll be announcing soon the whole thing. I want to talk to. There's a lot of people you want to make sure know about the.
I don't want to. I just was just curious because I think talking about Donovan in his absence, and not that you'll be completely out of our lives because we can call you and say, hey, how did you turn on the lights in the back room again?
There's what two wires institutional knowledge that. That's hard to replace. I get that part. And so in fact, today I was at Congress helping change out the phone machine so they could say close for summer hours. I did that for them today. I still love them. I still love the place, and it
signing off. Right. And anyway, we got off. I wanted to just get back to Second Saturday because that was when you started. Was it Second Saturday? Was it Downtown Saturday Night, or what was that?
Well, the predecessor was Downtown Saturday Night.
Okay.
And Donovan was part of that, and then we realized my memory is rusty, but it sort of ended, for whatever reason. And we all felt especially then, 15 years ago, that Downtown needed this event again, and something with a lot of energy, with buy-in from the vendors and businesses. And we got a group together of people who were pretty excited about it, and a great group. And, Fletcher is obviously a giant part of that. I mean, but all the other people, the Hunas and Brandys and Dons and Michael Keith, all these people at the time especially were very active downtown. A really good group of smart folks. And off it went, and it just took off, and it was doing great. It's been doing great. So
yeah, and I do think, as you mentioned, I think it was June. I don't believe they had it in June.
We had to. The finances and some other issues have come up, and there's a transition happening too, which it's not locked in, but I think there might be a very interesting evolution to it. I think coming.
So there was rumors that Second Saturday was done, but that's not true. The second Saturday,
No. There's going to be a something that emerges out of
wonderful.
that for sure.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
You'll see.
Look at all these teasers. Like all of a sudden,
I know. I'm giving you nothing.
I got nothing.
I have all this stuff and nothing.
You should run for office. You're answering all my questions, but not telling me anything.
My pleasure.
That again, it was a reason for people to come downtown, and it taps into the things that people wanted downtown: the music, the food, and then you brought in really kind of that first iteration of retail by bringing vendors in to
right come down and shop too. I mean, and that was the one piece we've always felt, and so grateful for spaces like we're in right now. It's we can. How many bars can you have? How many restaurants? You need more things. You need more retail. You need more other stuff. And so I still believe that there's still a potential here downtown. I really believe it.
Yeah, I mean, being on the retail side, we definitely feel like we're sort of at that very bottom rung of where it can be. We're glad it's here, but there's a lot of room for growth on it. But the second Saturday, Hotel Congress, all the programming, all the musics, all these connections that you have. Were there other projects? I mean, I'm sure there were, besides the festivals and other, no, Tom, that's all I did was arrange all the festivals and second Saturday and coordinate Congress. I had 12 minutes free.
But also, I was on a lot. I mean, at that about the same time, we started the Southern Area Artists and Musicians Healthcare Alliance with a lot of great people, which still exists today, and we're still funding people. It's a great organization that has a lot of very busy board members who can't attend anything. So it's, do you want to get these people some money? We'd love to. And it's great. And the other big festivals we started, like the HoCo Fest and the things like that I got off the ground. Those are my babies too, which I was very proud of. And
I think HoCo Fest, that was another one of those intentional things. You've got a long weekend and like trying to drive traffic on a typically slow weekend, I think, at the hotel.
The slowest weekend. In fact, we took Labor Day weekend, which was historically the slowest weekend, and said, well, what can we do? Let's do something local and special and cool. And the original one was right about that time, 20 years prior, the Congress opened. I said, why don't we do the 20th anniversary? And I called up as many old bands because I knew everybody.
Right.
I called up everyone, put some bands together, did some of those. He'll do it? Yeah, he said he will. Did he said he'd do it? Yeah, he said he will. Those kind of, calls to get bands together.
Just like a politician.
Yeah, it's just lie first and get the job done. You don't know how the sausage is made. But then we had it, and it was a huge success the first year, hugely successful, and it ran for 18 years. And it was, I'm really proud of that one. For sure.
Yeah, the impact of downtown, the one thing that I've learned from doing this show for a few years is that everything has a ripple effect, good and bad. Mm-hmm. And if you see what you see on the surface is that old iceberg analogy, what you see on the surface is just an inkling of the amount of effort and impact that goes into making something like that. Because you bring someone downtown, you mentioned earlier, you bring downtown a group of people that don't normally come downtown. They happen to have dinner at a place that they like, and they want to come down more. And then they bring their friends, and all of a sudden, you build these trends. And it starts with something like Hotel Congress and Rialto Theater suffering through those downtimes and creating a reason for people to come down. And then you made it cool. And then us old people wanted to come down because it was cool. And saying you need better restaurants because we're old and we don't like the...
It just felt like enough activity and enough stuff going on. Said, we could probably poke around a little bit too. And that's what downtown, our dream of downtown has always been.
Were there ever any opportunities along the way that maybe you thought about pulling out? And
No.
No, nothing came up?
I've been offered a couple things but I thought I was going to be buried there.
Yeah.
Still might be buried there.
Yeah.
They may still bury me. But I mean, I thought that was probably, tantalizing things come along. And, for my life, it's like I had a wonderful musician career. I had this wonderful thing here. And I felt like I had one arrow left in the quiver.
Mm-hmm. The third act.
Yeah.
From what I understand, a good play always has that third act.
Yeah.
Are there things in downtown that you see coming that we're not aware of, or are there things that we should be thinking about that we're not?
Yeah.
Oh, that's yes.
Yes, Tom, that's correct.
The answer is yes.
There's some exciting new developments that I'm aware of, and I can't believe you've hit on all three NDAs of mine.
So that's my job, right?
That's
why I get paid the big bucks.
There is more exciting stuff coming downtown that I know of. I think there's going to be. I think we're right at the cusp of a new change. And remember, you got to remember, I'm a downtowner. I live downtown, and I'm still very curious and keep my ears to the ground and offer advice and whatever when people come with ideas. So I'm excited for downtown, and I see this next evolution about to happen. I mean, if you look at it too, you have this new development. 6th Street goes this way, and a lot of stuff, and there's stuff going up the other way up to 5 Points.
Right.
I mean, there's this almost a corridor.
Oh, absolutely.
That triggers off of
even the Sunshine Mile, even though it's a ways out. I mean, it starts to push people in this direction. It's certainly.
But it's all. This is still the anchor, So I'm hopeful, and I know there's things coming.
Can you share? Like, is it music related?
Music related.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm not going to push any farther because I don't know.
No, I can't answer much farther. But some fun stuff.
All right. So.
What else, Tom? What else can I talk about?
Well, apparently nothing. Apparently nothing. So, can you tell me about any top secret government programs that are happening down here? Or is that your NDA as well?
No, I do not. I'm not privy to that.
I do know where the aliens are buried.
Yeah.
And I know they crashed their saucer into the side of a mountain.
Right, and they can't remove it, so they've covered it up.
There you go. That's what a mountain
So
is.
tell me about this. Tell me about this idea I'll have for you. This is something I've wanted to do forever, and I still think it's a great idea. The big mining scar on a mountain, why can't we just make a venue out of that?
Go for it.
Red rocks.
There you go.
Black rock. That's Tucson, means black rock.
Right.
We call it black. When you drive downtown on I-10, you see this beautiful outdoor amphitheater instead of this hole in the ground. Isn't that a good idea?
I'm with you.
I'm throwing that out there. I'm giving it to the world. It's
Well, there you go. The one thing that he can talk about is not underway. So.
But
you should make it. You should make it happen.
I know. I've talked to a few people about it, and then I've started, poking around the neighborhood to see who might buy in. But there's parking, and then you have the convento, and it's all the way downtown, like the stretches. I don't know. Thoughts, dreams.
Well, I
never stop.
I love the creativity. That's. I think that I don't know if that's the musician side of you or the musician came from the creative side of you, but that creativity has carried throughout. And as you said earlier, you can outspend someone, but you can't outcreate somebody.
That's true.
Well, I was going to ask if there are any projects left undone that you wanted to see, but you've already hit on the amphitheater in A Mountain. So
right. So I put that because you're reaching a lot more people, Tom. I want this to happen.
I'm up to 4 people now.
Yeah.
I'm up to 4. Well, 3.
You get to double digits, we might be able to get to that.
I think it's 3 because my mom probably stopped listening. She's like, I'm done. This is like literally
it's like 300 of these.
300th episode, Tom. I'm done. I'm taking all your grade school drawings off the fridge.
I think if people care, you talk to all the neat people and you get a lot of good insight here.
I appreciate you sharing so much of your time with us today. We're definitely going to catch up with you once we find out more. I know what your project isn't downtown, but you are downtown.